Hello, folks. Hello, Mike. I'm going to go ahead and read to you the last 7 daily inspirations. And you guys can choose one of the titles, and then we can go ahead and start the class from there.
Hi,
right.
is this am I on the right day? Is this? Yeah,
Monday's the daily inspirational classes, which is my material, and then Wednesday I do the miracles classes.
Yeah, I tried to sign in on my tablet, but it must be a different sign-in. No?
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
We changed the time from 7 to 8 today.
But is the sign-in the same?
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to get it on my tablet, and it's just saying waiting for host to start the meeting, so I don't know.
Okay.
Okay, I got you anyway.
All right, I'm going to read to you the last 7 titles, and then you guys please choose one, and we can start from there. Okay, April 22nd. Why we sometimes feel lost and confused. April 23rd. You are the gatekeeper of your kingdom. April 24th. The relationship between forgiveness, setting self-loving boundaries, and being taken for granted. April 25th. Receiving peace by seeing it in others. April 26th, the illusion of judgment. April 27th, every day you create your own individualized workshop. And April 28th, remembering your true value.
Ooh, all of them.
Lost and confused.
Lost and confused? Okay, let's see. Lost and confused.
The first
Okay, why we sometimes feel lost and confused, April 22nd. Let's go ahead and begin there then. All right, I'll go ahead and read it. It's only 2 paragraphs long, the condensed version, and then we'll start. I'll make a few comments and then we'll start from there. All right, April 22nd, why we sometimes feel lost and confused, paragraph 1. Imagine equating life to a dream. During a dream, regardless of how real, frustrating, or scary it gets, most of us do not realize we are dreaming. It is only after we awaken from the dream that we fully realize the illusionary nature of the dream. Equally so, in life, many times we act like someone who deep down inside we know we are not. When we are living through fierce expressions, such as when we're judging self or others, stressed out, angry, resentful, and hateful, we are playing a fear-based character within the ego's dream. We will always feel off balance, lost, and confused as long as we're playing a part we did not come here to play. Choosing to be right instead of happy, condemning others instead of being compassionate, holding on to resentment instead of forgiving. These are all signs of one who is lost and confused, playing a character within the ego's dream. Paragraph 2. Today, let us recall that feeling lost and confused does not mean there is something wrong with us, or that we're not wise, spiritual, or good enough. These feelings are simply signs that our mind is temporarily asleep to our true nature. All of our experiences within the dream have brought us to this place where we are now ready to wake up. Knowing this, let us offer gratitude to those who participated in our dreams. When we offer gratitude to all those who we once judged, it is a sign that our mind is awakening from the ego's dream. Our mind belongs in alignment with love, with the mind of God, and all of its expressions, such as compassion, forgiveness, gratitude, peace, and joy.
Sorry, I gotta leave. Sorry.
That's right. Compassion, peace, and joy. Today, notice that the more you choose to align with any of the aspects of the awakened mind, the less lost and confused you will feel. All right. So what we're roughly saying here is that anytime you're being something other than love or expressing something other than love, you're not being who you truly are. You're not being who you were created by God to be. But you don't have to punish yourself for that. You don't have to punish yourself for being angry or resentful, even hateful, anxious or fearful. Just start to recognize, okay, if I'm feeling an emotion or if I'm expressing something other than love, that simply means that I am asleep to who I truly am and to who God created me to be. Okay? So it's not about punishing yourself when you're out of alignment with who you truly are. It's about recognizing when you're out of alignment with who you truly are. And when you start to recognize when you're out of alignment, you start to awaken from the dream. And you start becoming who you truly are and were created to be, not the character inside the dream. It's a character within the dream, within the ego's dream, that can be angry, that can be fearful, that can be hateful, that can be resentful. That's just the character that you've been programmed to play, okay? Through your through society, through what you learn through society, through what you learn through your family, your peers, television, news, etc. Okay, so it's a character that you've learned to play, and you've reinforced that character over and over again, and so you think that character within the dream is really real. Like sometimes you might have some of us, when we dream, it appears to be really real, and you think that it's reality as you are asleep. Okay, but no matter how real the dream seems, it's always just a dream. So why should you punish yourself, and why should you punish others for simply dreaming? Okay? If somebody is resentful to you, if somebody's angry at you, they are simply dreaming. There's no need to punish them for dreaming. Just recognize, okay, that person is dreaming. I don't have to react to somebody who's having a nightmare. I don't have to be resentful for somebody who's having a nightmare or angry at them. Okay? They're just dreaming. Your only job in those moments is to recognize my brother or sister is currently dreaming. That's okay. They need to sleep right now. Let them sleep. Okay? So you forgive or you overlook their misperceptions of themselves and you. And in doing so, you remain awake within the ego's dream. Okay? And so you don't react to somebody who's dreaming. You don't react to somebody who judges you. You don't judge somebody who judges you, because that would only sink you into the dream. You don't become angry at somebody who's angry at you. Why? Because that will only sink you into the dream, into the darkness. You don't become resentful at somebody who's resentful. Or you don't join somebody in their anxiousness and fear and doubt or guilt or shame. You don't join them there, because that would only sink you into the dream. But you see, in the dream, you weren't meant to be in the dream. You were meant to be here in alignment with the mind of God in each moment and situation. And so all you have to do to remain awakened, the simple and only thing you have to do is to choose love instead of fear. Okay. Choose any of love's expressions instead of any of the ego's fear-based, judgment-centric expressions, and you will be awake and you will feel fulfilled. Why? Why do you feel fulfilled? Simply because you're doing what God created you to do. When you're doing what God created you to do, you feel fulfilled. When you're not doing what God created you to do, when you're not doing what you designed with the divine designer, then you're going to feel lost and off balance. Okay? And so that's what we're going to practice. Practice awakening from the dream. Any comments or questions? Any dream experiences this last week?
Oh yeah, I have.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
So at the week, so all day I said, I gotta call that guy, the ADT guy.
Yeah.
Part of really. So part of me didn't want to do it because I felt kind of embarrassed, you know. So what I did, I said, no, I'm going to call him. I got to call him. So I called him and the phone just went to voicemail. So I left him a message. So I didn't leave a message. So I decided to text him. So I texted him a message, right? And I said, this is what I said to him. Hello, you came to my house last week and I want to sincerely apologize for the way I treated you. I was anxious, angry, and took out my frustration on you. I did feel unheard or listened to by you, but that is not an excuse. I felt so sorry after you left and had to sit with myself for the rest of the day. Again, I hope you will accept my apology because it's genuine. You demonstrated to me how I should have reacted with calmness and peace. Thank you for being the instrument God used to teach me a very important lesson. I was so disappointed in myself for letting my emotions get the better of me. Have a wonderful day.
Mistakes are for correction and nothing else.
What
Yeah.
a beautiful apology. Please send that.
But what I did was I actually called him later and he answered the phone. And I said to him, I said, I just want to apologize because I was very rude to you and I shouldn't have reacted to that. And he said, it's okay. He was so, I said, you were so gracious. And he said, it's okay. Don't worry about it. It's okay. He wasn't angry at all. So he really showed me how I need to be. It was amazing. It has really made an impact on me. You know, I feel just so much better. Just so much better.
Right. Didn't it free you from
Yeah.
that experience?
Yes, it did.
Maybe you want to give a little, say something about your experience on because you said it on Sunday. There's some people here that didn't hear about your experience on Sunday with the AT&T guy.
Okay, so the ADT guy called me because I had an appointment, and they were supposed to call me like 30 minutes ahead of time so I could get home. I was only around the corner getting my feet done, you know. So he calls me and he goes, I can only give you 15 minutes. You know, I can only give you 15 minutes because I got to go. And I said, but you were supposed to call me. So I started to get really anxious, you know, because I'm saying to the lady, you got to hurry up because I got to go. I might have to leave and just come back. And I was getting really overwhelmed. So I finally made it home and I get there and he comes in and he said, oh, it's okay. I said, I'm sorry, but you know, you were supposed to call me. And he said, oh, no, we don't do that, which I know wasn't true, you know. So anyway, he came into the house and he kept saying, oh, you've got a low battery. And I said, yeah, I know I've got a low battery. He said, well, it's going to be $350 to change the battery. I said, don't worry about the battery. I need you to, my system is not communicating. I need you to fix that. I said, because I had the other AT&T guy out. He was out here for hours trying to fix my system and that low battery is still there. And I said, I'm not paying $350 for a new battery. That's not what and he kept telling me, oh, you need the battery for $350. And he didn't, the bottom line was he didn't want to check the unit. It was at the end of the day and he wanted to go home. That was the whole idea. But that's not the excuse for me. But that's what it was. He didn't want to check the unit. He wanted to come, put the battery in and leave. So I got really ticked off with him and I told him, listen, I'm not paying for another battery. And he goes, oh, you're getting upset, so I'm leaving. I said, yeah, I'm upset because you're not listening to what I'm saying. He goes, I'm just going to leave. And he turned around and walked away. And I was really pissed because he just was ignoring me. He wasn't even listening to what I had to say. So he goes, and I go then, go. So that all that rage, just it was rage. That's the word I wanted to get. It was just rage. It just raged up inside of me. It just welled up. And I said, get out of here. Go. Just get out. Go. I mean, I'm lucky he didn't turn around and try to hit me, you know. It would have been on then. But he says, he just turned around and he walked to the door and he's trying to get out the gate. And I open the gate and go, here, go. Just go. Bye.
Yeah, and then you were holding on to all those emotions, right?
Yes,
after he left.
Yeah. So after he left, he just said, okay, bye, have a good day. After all that, he said, bye, have a good day. It made me even more mad, you know what I'm saying? So I came in and I felt really bad. And I just asked God, I said, oh, God, forgive me. I just acted so bad. That was just crazy. And, you know, I'm a little hot-headed, but that was like crazy. But so, you know, I admit I'm hot-headed. I'll admit it, you know. So I sat down and I did my course in my lessons, the workbook for students, is it? The you know,
Yes.
you know, I did them. I started from the beginning and I did them all. I sat there all afternoon and all I did was the Course in Miracles. And I felt so bad. And I asked God to forgive me. And I asked myself to forgive myself. And I sat and I thought about why I am reacting like that with people. And it was because I felt hurt. I felt ignored. I felt not listened to. I felt like I was not important. I felt like, and other people during the day were supposed to, and someone else was supposed to have called me because he was supposed to come. I had an appointment, never showed up, never called me. So that just built on top of it, you know? So yeah, I felt really bad, and all weekend I just felt really bad, and it really gave me the opportunity to really delve into myself, you know, really look at myself, and I've realized for a while I've got this rage and anger that's just, I mean, it's explosive, you know. When it comes up, it's just, and it shows all over my face. And I'm not a vicious person, but that anger just takes over me, you know. It's just like, yeah.
Yeah.
So
And all those people who trigger that anger in you, they're just helping you see what is
Yeah.
within my heart and what is within my mind.
yeah.
So all those people who trigger you, they're just helping you recognize what's inside of me. What am I holding within me that does not belong inside of me? All this anger, all this rage, it doesn't belong inside of you.
Right.
And that's what your brother and sister is doing, the AT&T guy or whoever else that triggers you. That's what they're doing. They're showing you that you're holding some poison inside of you that you need to let go of through the act of forgiveness, self-compassion, compassion for others, patience, you know, all that. And so remember, whenever somebody, and this is one example we all can use for every example, okay? That's how it is. And so, okay, whenever somebody triggers you, what would the ego say? Judge them, condemn them, be resentful, be angry, hate them,
Yeah.
and a dozen other things, okay? That's what the ego will say anytime somebody triggers you. But what is actually happening when somebody is triggering you? They're just showing you your internal condition and conditioning. What you're holding inside of you as more real than the love that God created you to be. And so you're covering over that love that God created you to be with your delusions, with your dream. Okay? And so when that happens, practice. Okay, when somebody triggers you, the ego is always going to answer first and loudest, right? So the ego is always going to try to judge. Practice saying to yourself, even when the day starts, okay, anybody who triggers me, they're just showing me my internal condition and conditioning so that I may be able to bring it up to the surface and heal it. I'm gonna practice thanking every single person who triggers me, because all they're doing is helping me, in reality, helping me heal and helping me awaken from the ego's dream. And so now practice every day, practice saying to yourself, anybody who triggers me is actually trying to heal me. They're giving me an opportunity to practice peace instead of pain, to practice healing thoughts and thus heal myself instead of poisonous thoughts and thus condemn myself to pain, emotional, spiritual, physical. Actually, it goes to physical, believe it or not. It turns to physical pain. So imagine if you were able to be grateful to everybody who triggered you. How would you feel again with everybody else in your life who came your way? Okay.
Grateful.
Yes. Yes. So now you would be grateful to all those who came into your life, who helped you reinforce who you truly are, the love that you are, through compassion, kindness, joy, peace. And now you would be grateful for all those who brought in the so-called ego's tools to try to place you out of alignment with the mind of God, with love. And so now you're grateful to everybody. Imagine living a life where you're grateful to everyone. not because anything of the ego says, because the ego is always going to demand judgment and some form of fear. Okay, but what if you learn by practice? Remember, the more you practice, the more natural and normal this gratitude becomes. Then gratitude becomes your constant companion throughout the day. You walk hand in hand with gratitude and compassion throughout the day. But you have to do it proactively because the ego has trained us otherwise.
Yeah.
So every day, take 5 minutes and say, everybody who God sends into my presence, because they wouldn't be in your presence unless God sent them. Okay? Everybody who God sends into my presence is here to help me grow, heal, and awaken. So my conscious response to them is going to be gratitude. And not only do you say yourself that to you in the morning when you wake up, but you say that to yourself before every single interaction you have. Okay? Before every single interaction you have, you're going to say, you know what? If this person triggers me, he's doing that to help me heal. And so I'm going to be grateful to those triggers. And I'm not going to react to the dream. I'm not going to sink into the dream. Instead, I'm going to become a light within the darkness. Okay? And the more you practice becoming a light within the darkness, the more you'll see that this here becomes natural and normal. And then all of a sudden, you start being grateful to everybody and all. All of a sudden, you start to live heaven on earth. Yes, Isabel?
Yes, I wanted to say, because I have a question here. When we dysregulate, because I could dysregulate as well, to go to gratitude. Oh, wow, thank you for taking my peace away. Thank you for me not feeling any love for you. I mean, it's it will go, but not yet. The thank you will come after when I see the healing, when I will see the benefit. If I don't see the benefit yet, I will not be grateful. So, and each one of us the process, in our own time, as we are in different levels, some faster in a few minutes, some of us in a few days, in a few weeks. But as it is a temporary, feeling, anything negative, it is not real. What real is peace, what real is the love. At some point it will go. This rage, this pain, this anger, frustration, it has to go. That's it will go. It won't be permanent. That's the beauty of that. Now, how fast it can go, sometimes wholly instant, a miracle, the more aware that we can be that is not real, that it is something that is helping me bring something in myself that I am not seeing yet, or that I don't want to tap into it situation to heal. And has to do a lot with myself, because the anger with this guy, AT&T, or me with somebody that, call me about some situation that says that I owe them money, and then I go like, no, I have paid you already. I say, no, I haven't received it. I say, but how many times can I? So the upset it could be one drop to my glass that I already have. In reality, it's several things that I haven't emptied, that I haven't forgiven. So yeah, it helps me see if I calm down myself, if I make a space for that, to sit in my feelings and count today how many of those episodes have I had, or this week, these past 7 days. And it helps me see, how often I'm doing it. I think the more that we are in the course, the less often it will come, or probably the more often the awareness, which is the beauty of that. And the healing will come after we do the release, after we work on the unforgiving, but we may not feel forgiving yet. So also go by stages. I'm denying this, that's not real, it's not my fault. I'm always blaming outside. I'm being aware, I'm being, I am accepting it. I'm feeling this or not. So it goes by little. It could go faster the more we are in this class and the course. It will work miracles and situations in instance that we will be amazed. how quickly sometimes we can shift from being in despair to breathing and pray and say, God, please let me see this situation different because I don't like it. And I don't like it means I'm making a space for something new. And all of a sudden I could feel like, boost with energy and come back to the party and come back to the group, come back to this person and talk from love, not from the despair. Because it has happened to me that if I'm still in uneasy and I'm not feeling well, if I come back, I'm still feel like weak. But my strength goes back if I ask, right? If I ask for guidance right there in the moment. And it could be that I'm asking, I'm still not changing. I'm still
Yes.
gonna be okay.
Yeah. Yes. Practice giving yourself grace. Okay, which means that this is not a rat race. Okay, we're not in some rat maze. Okay, we don't have to finish. We don't have to get to the finish line of peace in 7.9 seconds or less. Okay, so whatever time you need to process your emotions, that's perfectly fine. It's perfect, as Mike would always say. And so if you spend a couple of hours in anger and resentment, do not punish yourself for that. Instead, practice offering yourself grace because we're all one, right? So the more you practice giving yourself grace, the more you're unconsciously practicing offering others grace. Okay, so when you're healing yourself, you're healing the world. When you're recognizing that you are worthy of grace, that you can find forgiveness at your own pace, at your own sacred pace, that's perfect. Your pace to forgiveness is perfect. You will find forgiveness when you find forgiveness. So don't judge yourself for being out of alignment with the energy of forgiveness. If you need to feel that anger for a little while, feel it. We're all human. We're having a human experience. Okay. So don't punish yourself for holding on to that anger. But what you also want to practice as you're offering yourself grace, okay, let's say somebody made me angry and I'm holding on to anger, okay? If I cannot forgive that person quickly and I feel like I need to hold on to that stuff for a little while, okay, first you don't punish yourself, you offer yourself grace, but then no matter what the ego says, you go to God and you go, God, please, can you forgive my brother or sister for me? Therefore, you can guide me to a place of forgiveness. Okay, so you don't have you yourself as a body, you don't have to forgive them immediately, but as soon as possible, no matter what the ego says, ask God to forgive them for you. Because if you do, that becomes like an icebreaker. Okay, it becomes an icebreaker to forgiveness when you allow the divine to lead the way. Okay, so offer yourself grace, give yourself whatever time you need. It's perfect. Don't worry about it. It's perfect. Invite God in and say, God, can you please be my icebreaker? And then feel kind of like sit for a second and just feel how God would forgive that person. And just see like God's forgiveness upon that person. You don't have to forgive them, but just visualize and feel how God is forgiving that person. And that becomes a little icebreaker for you. And all of a sudden, as you start to visualize and think how God thinks and see the beauty of his emotional connection to himself, to perfect love. as you see that icebreaker, that forgiveness break through that judgment and anger, you start to feel, man, yeah, I kind of like this feeling. It's kind of like a nice feeling to be able to forgive instead of hold on to that anger and the resentment. And so, yes, process your emotions. Don't punish yourself when you're processing your emotions. Give yourself whatever time you need to be in the delusion. And practice trusting in divine timing. When you practice divine timing, you give yourself whatever time you need to process your emotions. When you trust in the ego's timing, you're going to start judging yourself for holding on to that resentment and that anger. Okay, so if you're holding on to negative emotions, the ego is going to have you judge yourself for that, and say, and the ego will say to you, "Man, I mean, how many pages of A Course in Miracles do you have to read before you forgive?" You know, that's the ego. Okay, don't listen to the darkness. Be a light. Trust divine timing. Everything's okay. Yvonne, you have your hand up.
Yeah. I had a question. I think I may know the answer, but maybe not. How do you recommend like communicating with someone you disagree with gratitude?
And with
So,
gratitude. Yeah.
With gratitude, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. The first thing I would say is invite the Holy Spirit in, or invite Christ in, or invite God in, whoever it is that you have a connection with, and ask, let's say, like for me, I have a connection with Christ. So I would say, Christ, can you please speak to my brother or sister? I'm going to step back. Okay, you step back and you invite Christ in and say, Christ, what would you say right now to my brother and sister? And let Christ speak for you. Not that little ego you, the Christ you. And so it's not you speaking, but it's Christ speaking through you to your brother or sister. And when you allow Christ, God, the Holy Spirit, to speak to your brother and sister, and you step back, your little ego steps back, and let Christ speak for you, gratitude is going to be a natural expression of that flow. And so just practice allowing God to speak through you. Practice seeing them only as God would see them, only as love would see them. Before you talk to them, put on the lens of love. And allow love to lead the way. Allow love to ask love, God, Christ, what would you have me think, say, and do right now? And then you think, say, and do only that.
So does that require like getting rid of the content or whatever it is that you're like stuck on, since it's, I guess, ego?
No, because your ego is holding on to the content of it, right? But your ego has stepped back.
Right.
So now the content is there, but is in the back. And you're just allowing the love to see your brother or sister through that loving lens. And so it's love that's speaking. And so little by little, love will melt away whatever that delusion is. The more you speak through love.
Okay.
The content is the dream.
Get rid of the content. Yeah, I get it. It's hard.
Yeah, and and practice remembering. Remember how you speak to yourself. Okay, what words are you using? Don't keep reinforcing that the emotion of forgiveness is hard. You know what's really hard? It's holding on to the judgment. It's holding on to the anger and the resentment. It's holding on to the weight and the fear and the guilt and the shame. That's what's hard. The ego will not tell you that, but that's what's really hard.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. I say that to my clients all the time, and now I'm hearing it back. Thank you. Thank you for sharing.
So always pay attention how you're speaking to yourself and what you're saying is hard or not hard. Okay? Because the ego is always going to try to make you think that thinking in alignment with God is hard. That's the ego. The ego is always going to have you think that. No. First of all, God is all and the ego is nothing. God is His truth and the ego is a lie. Okay? And so it's not hard to be who God created you to be. It's not hard to be who God created you to be. Okay? Because that's who you truly are. That's easy. It's easy to be who God created you to be. It's hard to be who God did not create you to be. If you get what I'm saying.
Hmm.
And so it's hard to be who you are not. It's easy to be who you truly are. Anger is who you are not. Judgment, resentment, it's not who you are. It's just a program that you've bought into as real and true. It's a lie that you've bought into as real true from your past. And you brought it into the now. And you're covering over the gift, the present moment, the gift that God is trying to offer you with your delusions, with the ego's delusions. And so let them go, place them aside. Invite God in, let him flow through you and lead the way. And the more you do this, and place the ego aside, gently aside, just place it gently aside. The more you place the ego aside and allow love to flow through you, the easier, more normal you will see that forgiveness is. And the harder it will be for you to hold on to that judgment and that resentment and that pain.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes. Any other comments or questions or experiences within the dream this week?
Well, I've got a question, okay? Now, this is a doozy of a question, okay? And it's something that I was thinking about, but then my coworker who he tried the Course in Miracles, but he's very analytical. So he said to me today, he said, and I've been thinking this, so if God is omnipresent and God is everything, and there's only God, where did the ego come from? Who created the ego? Where did it come from? I mean, did God have to create it, didn't he? If he created everything. I couldn't question because I was thinking the same thing.
I could go ahead. James.
Yeah, let me give this a shot, James.
Yeah.
That's a great question, Lorraine. I just like my mind spends hours upon that. The way that I get around that little paradox, around that little idea, is that God created everything that's real. And that's that free will thing is that we can make stuff up all we want. That's how we get to play. We get to forget so that we can experience the joy of remembering. And so even though we play this ego off as this evil bad thing, that's in our language the only way that God makes sense, because now I got lost, but that we make up this ego. I think for myself, I make this up and take this step away from this. I have this illusion that I step away from God, which is impossible, but I make that up in my head so that I can experience the joy of remembering and stepping back into the knowledge that it's all one.
So, but God had to create that. He had to create that doubt, didn't he? Because if he created everything and he created us, he had to create the ego, didn't he? He had to create us, because if we're him and he's us, then
one of the things that Course in Miracles says is how we created this world is simply that we forgot to laugh. Okay, we had a thought that was unlike God, and then we forgot to laugh about it. And that's how this world was created. It was a misperception that we created, but obviously we are a part of God. So in essence, God created it through us, but for us to remember that we're not that. Okay, and so no.
That's complicated. No, that's
well. We're trying to answer really, really deep questions that only we will really know when we. I'm just telling you what the Course in Miracles says about it. So this doubt, this fear, this anxiousness was not created by God. It was created by us because we forgot who we truly were. And because of the law of free will, we can play the game any way we want to play the game. And we are allowed to play that game of forgetfulness, of thinking about there's such a thing as doubt, of fear, of anger, of hate. Okay? And so God himself did not really create it. We created it because we thought that we were somebody we were not. And so now we're little by little we're remembering that we're not that. And the more we remember that we're not that we're not anger and resentment, the less this thing here appears to be real. And little by little, this little creation we have here begins to dissolve away. And in its place, only love. And so individually, you can start to see it in your own life. Okay? You start to shift into a higher level of consciousness, into a place where there's more peace. And when you have more and more peace, where does your anxiousness go? When peace increases in your day, anxiousness decreases, right? Peace increases, anxiousness decreases. It's just a mathematical formula, really. You only have 24 hours in a day. The more peace you have, the less anxiousness you have. And then little by little, this delusion, this dream disappears. And all you have is peace and love and compassion and kindness and joy and mercy and grace. Everything that you always already had. Yes, go ahead, Jim.
I love that you brought in mathematics. This equation is because that final equation that Einstein brought us was this theory of relativity that made space and time obsolete. But the idea that it's in our minds here on Earth, it's this relative world, and it's a mathematical equation, like you're saying, that in our minds we can't imagine love without experiencing the fear that goes with it. So if it was love all the time, it would be like having a candle in the middle of the sun. It would be meaningless. So we'd have to have the darkness so that we can appreciate the light. Anyway, that's the theory of relativity, and mathematically it makes sense, at least how our brains work right now, is that okay, cold doesn't mean anything without warm. I don't know. I probably dug a deeper hole. Sorry.
Yeah. So so if all we know is love, where did we get the idea of jealousy and hate? Where did that come from?
Well, we can get very esoteric. We can get very esoteric here, and we're starting to speculate. Okay, and we try not to speculate because we try to just find a way to peace. But we can start if you believe in the Bible, right? There was a time when there was an angel.
Yeah.
Okay, and that angel thought it could be more than God.
Yeah.
And when that happened, the separation began to occur. Not to all the angels, to 1/3 of the angels.
1/3 of the angels, yeah.
And 1/3 of the angels fell, right?
Yeah.
Fell into the dream.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and the 2/3 of the angels remained in heaven with God. And so here in the dream, some of these angels maybe became human. Who knows? Or maybe
They said they did, right?
some of them, yes. And so these people, these angels, these beings who fell into the dream, now are offered this opportunity to come into the physical form to realize that their dream was never real in the first place. But there's other angels here that still want to drag you, keep you in the dream, right? Because if the dream dissolves away, they dissolve away. And so that's a speculation.
Yeah. I don't like the idea of separate angels. There's no separation. We're all one soul, one energy, one being. There's no separation. That's just a Bible story that's ego.
Yeah.
To think that we're separate is not real, that there's these separate souls and beings and things like that. That makes no sense to me.
In the second
We're all God.
level, yes, it is real.
Yeah, there's gotta be a way to explain it in duality to people who are asking questions within duality. So that's why I bring the idea of separation, because it's useful to explain it in duality. Because people who are in duality want to know why they're in duality, and you cannot use really. It's difficult to use oneness words. Remember, the course says that words are just symbols of symbols, right?
Correct.
We're trying to explain truth in words, which is really not possible. It's almost impossible, but we do our best. We do our best. So sometimes
that's why I keep I keep thinking, I want to take Course in Miracles and turn it into an opera with music, and then maybe that will help with music. That vibration might be better than the words. I don't know.
Yeah, probably.
Right.
Probably. I mean, music, it's a language in itself, right? But it's a universal language.
That's right. And so it's still symbols. There's still symbols. Yeah.
Right. Can I add something there?
Yes.
Yeah. We're trying to find answers to something that doesn't make sense. This world does not make sense. Okay, let me read one paragraph from the course. If you
get a little further away from your microphone, maybe, because it's a little mumbled.
Mumbled? Better? A little better?
No,
it's still a little mumbled.
Yeah, I don't know. My earphones, I don't know put it. I'm looking for it.
Can you maybe log off and log on again and see, maybe, because it'll be good to hear what you have to say.
Okay.
I don't know how you can fix your.
All right.
Okay. Mike is gonna log off and log on again, and hopefully he'll come back and with a better sound. The ego is trying to attack Mike, but we're gonna have.
So the ego, like the ego, is like is like in the Bible, the devil, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. You can reference, if it makes more sense to you. You can reference the ego as the devil.
Yeah.
Now, and the Course in Miracles doesn't do that, but yes, if you want to see it that way, you can see it that way. Yes.
Can you hear me?
No. Still rough.
Okay. I'll try a few things.
Okay, what paragraph was it?
I'll tell you in a minute.
Yeah, can you put it in the chat, the paragraph, and then maybe we can read it that way?
Okay.
Let's
see. Yeah, so what we want to try to do is try to leave those huge questions aside, place them aside. Let's try to find peace now, okay? Let's try to use our daily experience to find a level of peace and a level of joy that we didn't have before. So let's take baby steps. Let's take baby steps towards the truth, okay? Because those huge questions are really kind of unanswerable. We can do the best we can, but it's rough. So let's find a way to find a little more peace, a little more joy each day, and then maybe in your own experience, someday we will open up and you'll get the answer. Okay. Mike said, Mike said page 77, paragraph 4. So I'm going to go ahead and read that. Yeah, give me a second. Page 77, paragraph 4.
The ego will demand many answers.
Yes.
The ego will demand many answers that the Course does not give. It does not recognize as questions the mere form of a question to which an answer is impossible. There it is. The ego may ask, how did the impossible occur? To what did the impossible happen? And may ask this in many forms. Yet there is no answer, only an experience. Seek only this and do not let theology delay you.
Great, Mike. That was amazing. Good
That was
call.
great. Yeah, that was great. Great, yeah.
Yes. Yeah, don't allow theology to delay your path to peace. Okay? Just be appreciative of those experiences you have, like you have with your AT&T guy, because all he's doing is helping you practice remembering who you no longer desire to be. Okay? And if somebody can show you who you no longer desire to be, they're giving you a clearer path to helping you recall who you truly desire to be. Okay? So those times when you're being who you are not, don't punish yourself for that. Because all that's doing, when you're being who you are not, is helping you feel the emotions of the dream where you do not belong, and helping you realize, you know what? This doesn't feel right. There must be a better way. There has to be a better way. And that's how you begin to depart from the dream. Because you have enough is enough here. Enough anger. Enough responding to anger with anger. Enough responding to condemnation with condemnation. Enough of adding my energy to fear and anxiousness and doubt and worry. Enough of guilt and shame. There has to be a point where the spirit inside of you decides that enough is enough. And whatever time it takes, it takes, and that's fine. But yes.
Can I express this one grateful note? You guys, that in this platform, we only have words. And I am so grateful to all of you for trying our best just to go deeper and understand love with this limited word thing. I'm so grateful to be a part of this group and just trying our best with the words that we have. So I love you guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Same here.
Yes, and that's why every single one of our experiences is perfect, because each of our experiences helps us remember who we are and who we are not. So Dr. Laurie's experience, it taught us something. It reminded us of something. And so it helped us awaken a little bit more, because we're all one, right? We're all one. So each one of us is in reality, like I have a little Yvonne here, I have a little Jim here, a little Dr. Laurie here, a little Wendy here, So each one of us is part of the whole. And so if a part of us needs to figure something out, maybe another part of us, like if you eat food and your muscles need energy, well, it has to go through the digestive system first to turn it into sugar, to turn it into fuel for the muscle. And so you see, every part of us is helping every other part of us. And so whenever you have a situation that takes you away from love, that's perfect for us. That's perfect for us to talk about it, to process it, to see how we can let go of the dream and come back into reality, come back into being the light of the world that God created us all of us to be. Okay?
I think it's ironic that when we come in contact with that forgettingness and have that resentment towards the other, that the first thing ego does is say, yeah, that person is separate from you, when in reality that person is you, showing you and showing you that mirror of, oh yeah, this person's there for me and is me, because that's a perfect mirror for how I'm feeling. So I just, it's pretty ironic that the ego says, no, it's separate, when in reality, no, it's the exact word, we are one.
Yes, everybody out there is simply an external representation of your internal condition and conditioning. Okay? And so everybody out there, because there is no really out there, but everybody out there is in essence you reflecting your thoughts into the physical form. And so each person out there who's helping you remember who you truly are, thank them. Thank everybody who comes into your experience, because all they truly are is a reflection of some thought that you have inside of you. Okay. And so if they're simply reflecting what you yourself believe, and they're helping you see that in the physical form, so you can bring it to the surface, so that you can shine light on it. What else but appreciation would you have to every single person that God sends your way? Every single person that God sends your way is there because God trusts you and trusts that person to help you grow, heal, and awaken. And so no matter what the ego says about it, the ego's always gonna say no. That's not why they're there. Okay? Don't listen to the ego. It's just, he's just asleep. He's talking in sleep. Okay? You're not gonna argue against somebody who's talking in their sleep. Right? You're just gonna go, oh, that's interesting. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Okay, so that's all the ego is. It's talking in his sleep.
Not real.
Yeah. And so let's practice this week, no matter what the ego says, just being grateful to everybody who God sends our way. Because every single person that God sends away, every single person that we interact with is helping us remember who we truly are and who we came here to be. And it's helping us realize that we don't want judgment. We don't want to carry anger or resentment. We don't want to carry that stuff. We don't want to carry shame and guilt. Okay? We don't want that. The truth in us does not want that. The truth in us only wants to be the love that God created us to be. And each and every person that comes our way is helping us see that in their own unique way. Each person is uniquely qualified in that moment in time in quotes, to help to show you where you are in that moment in time. And they are perfect for you. Imagine they are there only because God decided that person was perfect for you in that moment. So out of 8 billion people on the planet, 8 billion people, okay, God chose that AT&T guy. Okay, so the AT&T guy is one out of about 8 billion people. Okay, that's the person who God chose for you, because that's the person that God knew was going to help you let go of your delusions, of your sense of not being heard. Okay.
And also show me who I should be, how I should have reacted, because he showed me the way I should have reacted.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Yes. He was the trigger and the example.
Yes.
Showed you that you are him.
Yes.
And he is you.
Yes. He showed me the person underneath, the little girl underneath that's not angry and whatever. He showed me the real me that's hidden by all this rage and anger and pain. So he showed me who I really am, because that's who I really am.
Yes. And congratulations, a little clap for you for listening to Sunday's class and calling the guy up from AT&T. That's not an earthly kind of thing that people do, you know? That's like really, that's another level. You know, you decided to go to the next level and call the guy and ask for his forgiveness so that you can have peace. And so you went to another level, you know? And so pat yourself on the back for that. That was a very big deal.
And Lorraine, it's sending us to another level too. As soon as I get off here, there's somebody I need to call and do what you just did that I remember from earlier this morning. So thank you for that. You raised me to that level too.
You're welcome. And yeah.
And I wanted to say that the guy was raised. The guy, the AT&T guy that received this message is like, ooh, now I want to apologize somebody.
Yeah.
Because it has happened to me. Somebody that came in the middle of something that I was, confused and came and gave me, let's say, a gift, starting Christmas, I go like, oh my God, it tapped into my giving, in that side of me, and then ignited the light to give more, and then start the ideas of what I'm gonna buy, because I was like low in that side. So in my forgiveness, same way, the way you express it to me is like a model, a sample that I could do a nice, beautiful apology to someone as well that deserves my time. I mean, we all deserve that. I'm deciding to do that, to take my time and apologize.
Well, I'm determined.
Mistakes of correction and nothing else.
Yeah, I'm determined. I'm serious. I'm really serious. I'm really, really serious. I'm not playing about this now. This is my time, and I'm doing it 1,000%. And whatever I got to do to maintain this peace, I'm going to do it. And this has just changed my whole day. I mean, after I spoke, it changed my whole day. I went to the food bank. I got my neighbors some food. I was stayed in line in that hot sun and took the food to them, and and blessed them, and felt really good. Oh, then I had a little thing after that. I got another little thing popped up, but I was able to work on that.
Can I bring up a point?
Yes.
Can you hear me better now?
Yeah,
very good.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
That guy's motivation could have been very different things. Okay, maybe somebody was in the hospital, a family person was in the hospital, and he was just trying to get through, and or maybe he just trying to be nasty. That's not the point.
Right.
It doesn't. Either way, it doesn't matter. The point is, you want peace for yourself. Forgiveness is always for yourself. It's not about whether he was upset for something that you would call reasonable, or whether he was just being nasty. That's not the point at all.
Exactly. And I kept saying what you always say, would I rather be right or at peace? And I said, no, I want to be at peace, because I've experienced peace, and that's all I've prayed for years. I sit in my house and cry, God, I just want peace. I don't know what peace is, but I know now. I know now, since I started this course in these last few weeks, I know what peace is, and I don't want to give that up. I've been too many years on the other side, so no.
Amen. It's a miracle. All right, people. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank
you.
And God willing, we'll see each other soon.
Thank
All
you.
Yeah, thank you, Yvonne. Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Jen. Thank you, Wendy.
James.
Thank you.
Hey, Wendy.
Mike.
Thanks.
Roberta.
Thanks,
Bye.
everybody.
Thanks, Mike,
Everybody.
for that.
Thank
that
you, everyone.
refocus. That was a great refocus. Thank you.
Thank you.
Night,
Thank you.
everyone.
Beautiful.
Yvonne.